Okay. All right. So, welcome back to 4th Street Sports Show. Dima Mixon joined by defensive coordinator for Southern Miss, Dan O'Brien. Dan, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
So, we're recording this on Friday, so 13 days of fall camp. I know that our fans, our listeners, want to know all about this defense, what they're bringing back. What is like the number one thing you've seen over fall camp that's an improvement from last year? Just name some things you've seen during fall camp.
Yeah, so, for the most part, we're doing a lot of the same stuff. We'll have some different personnel packages than we've had in the past. You're trying to utilize some guys that we have that have unique talents to put them in certain situations in games that will give us the most success that we feel like. The one big thing is, you kind of realize right now is we have a lot of depth. Our first year here we had zero depth. Last year we kind of built it up a little bit, but right now we feel like we're in a really good spot. A lot of positions are 3 deep plus 1, so we got all of our numbers back, but at the same time, you got really good players, and that creates a lot of competition. Our guys go out every day and they battle against, whether it's the 1s, the 2s, or the 3s, doesn't really matter. Those guys are out there and they're competing not only with the guy across from them, with the other guys in the room, because we talk about it all the time here, that competition breeds greatness, and it makes everybody that much better. So, outside of that, the physicality, the tenacity, the attacking style of play, all that stuff's going to be pretty much the same.
And you've been a part of Southern Miss for a few years, and you coached under Coach Armstrong. Just walk us through your journey here at Southern Miss to get to the defensive coordinator now at a premier D1 school.
Yeah, so I actually had never worked with Coach Hall before. Majority of the guys on staff have. I just happened to be with Austin at Georgia in 2019, and that's where we first met. And obviously, I'd been involved in that Saban, Smart, Belichick tree of coaching for eight years. So, I kind of knew the ins and outs of that scheme. When Austin was there as a off the field support staff role with me, I knew exactly what the day-to-day operation was, what to expect every day, how it was to be expected to be done. So, Austin kind of leaned on me then, just having been in that system before, and we got really, really close. Greg Meyer and I actually shared an office there at Georgia. So, that's really where our relationship developed. And then he went to UL the next year. I stayed at Georgia, and then as soon as Coach Hall got the job, he called Austin about being his DC, and Austin called me and was like, hey, man, I only get to bring a handful, like 2 guys or 1 guy, and, I want you to be that guy. And then I went through the interview process with Coach Hall. And, I think just being here for 2 years working under Coach Hall, I think he saw what I brought to the table. And, he and I are more alike than probably me and Coach Armstrong in terms of our sideline antics and all that. But, it's been great. We have a great relationship, not only me and Coach Hall, but everybody on staff. It's great to be a part of a system and a team and an organization that everybody kind of sees eye to eye on how we do things, and then how can we all get better at the same time.
Yeah, and I want to talk about some of your players, starting with the defensive line. Obviously, Jalen Williams back. Just talk about him. Talk about the D-line and what they bring to opposing offenses.
Yeah, so, there's Jalen right there. Obviously Jalen's a really, really good player. He can do a little bit of everything in terms of the line movement stuff, but at the same time, be able to play base technique and strike and create separation and win on double teams. And, between him, Quentin Bivens, I'm probably going to leave somebody out, but Josh Ratcliffe, Brodarius Lewis. We've got more depth and size up front than we have ever had. It's almost like you're the 7th or 8th best defensive line in the SEC West. So we feel really good about where we're at. We have a lot of talent. We got a lot of mass, a lot of size there. And then you still got like Kristen Booth and Eric Thomas on the outside, and Neely Fuvai, and we feel really, really good about that defensive front and where we can get to as the season gets going here.
And then the linebackers, obviously Swayze and Hayes back. Then losing Habas, I'm sure, was a big deal for y'all. How big of how big of a change have you seen in the team, especially with Josh Carr coming on right there, just filling that role for Avery? And how important is it that he's out there still coaching and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have Hobbs back in the building. I mean, he's an unbelievable human being. Great to be around. Positive attitude every day. He's out there helping the younger guys. Being the leader that he's always been out there and encouraging guys as on the sideline to get going and fire them up. But I feel really good about the linebacking crew. Obviously you get Swayze, you get Hayes, you get TQ back, who really didn't go through a whole lot during the spring. So they kind of missed out during the spring on the installation. But those guys have played so much football that there's so much carryover for them that is they haven't missed a beat. Really excited about Jalen Sims. I think he's going to help us a lot this year. You got a guy like Colby Cage that came in. That's a really good player. And then in our jack room, we got unbelievable talent there. Not only with Josh, but you got Jaleel Clemens in there as well. So you got two guys that are elite level pass rushers right there. That if we can find a way to be able to cut them loose in some passing situations, we're hoping it'll strike some fear into quarterbacks. No, I'm really excited about the whole linebacking crew, not only the interior guys, but obviously the edge guys as well.
And then, losing Natron Briggs and Eric Scott in the secondary, two big losses. But, Dylan Lawrence and Jay Stanley kind of filling in nicely there. Talk about them and then the cornerbacks as well.
Yeah, so our corner room, we got some experience back. Obviously, B. Tolles has played for 2 years. You got Mike Caraway back. So you got guys that have played before. You bring in MJ Daniels, who's another long guy. That can run and cover and physicality, that brings physicality there. So we feel really good about it. You got Quez McNeil as well who at that corner spot. So, we've still got depth there. Some of it may just be they don't have the playing experience here. But, MJ played a little bit at Ole Miss, and you got these guys at the corner spot that give you a lot of depth right there. And it's probably one of the biggest secondaries I've ever been around in my career. I don't know if anybody in our corner room is under 6 foot. You got length there, you got size and speed. And then, obviously in the safety and star room, you got, you bring in Dylan Lawrence, you bring in Elijah Sabatini, you got Jay Stanley back. Cam Knox is a guy that played some time for us last year. You got Jeremiah Robinson back as well. So, you're bringing some guys back, so you got depth where you feel like you like it. Dylan's been a great asset. Obviously, you don't find too many that look like him at 6'4", 215 pounds that can run, almost 23 miles an hour. So, that type of body type is very unique to playing in that defensive backfield. But, obviously a guy like Jay Stanley who's, been up for multiple preseason awards right now and preseason watch lists. So, I'm excited about where his potential could be this year. And, you got him and Dylan playing next to each other, all bets are off because you got two guys that are really, really big, fast, and physical that can make plays. And then, we moved Jay Jones from that safety spot to star, which gives you a little different body type out there because, he's 6 foot, 205 pounds and can cover, run, and hit. And then Markel McLaurin is another one who played corner last year that we moved inside. So.
Final question for you, Coach. What should Southern Miss fans expect to see from the formation? Should they look for it to be any different than Coach Armstrong's? Or I noticed a lot in practice. You bring a lot different blitzes, but just formation-wise, any different? I know you're not going to give away any formation, but
no. I think the biggest difference is probably our personnel packaging. I'm more of a save and smart style of matching up personnels on personnels. A lot of that's going to depend on what they're trying to do to us, but. For the most part, it's going to be very similar. We're going to attack. My third down pressure is maybe a little more exotic than Coach Armstrong's, but, I laugh about it with Coach Greg all the time because he don't want to have to try to pick any of that stuff up, and he's happy he's probably not going to see a lot of it throughout the season. So, but it's good for everybody because everybody gets good work. And like I said, we got a lot of really good players, and just finding a way to get all those guys involved in different roles really brings a lot of success to our defense. So as much as we can do that type of stuff, we're going to. But we're going to attack. It's Southern Miss. It's a nasty bunch. That's what we're built on, and that's what we're all about. So we're going to play an attacking style of play that's going to be physical and in your face.
Coach O'Brien, thank you. We'll see you at the Rock a few Saturdays from now.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.